Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic.
Hello and welcome to Celtic.
Celtic who? My name is Celtic what? My name is Waka Waka. CelticLigers.com.
We're only messing. It's CelticLigers.com here.
Yeah. Acast.shows /Celtic Ligers here.
What is that actually? Whatever we got. So we looked at the analytics, and to our beautiful listeners, our beautiful boaters, we're moving to Saturdays and Sundays because that's where the numbers are telling us to go. Sorry about that.
We found out that our listeners are party animals. They listen to other podcasts at the weekend and then just spend the whole week recuperating, living for the weekend.
Yeah.
So what's going to be the new schedule? Fridays and Sundays?
Okay, let's just say Thursday to release, Friday boosted on Saturday, and then on Sunday we have the Patreon episode.
Okay, you hear that?
You fucking plebs. So we record the Patreon on Saturday, I guess. Yeah, does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah.
All right, cool. So welcome to this. Welcome. We're recording today on 9/11. And so we mustn't forget those people who, tirelessly who lost their lives trying to bring down American hegemony.
My dad was in 9/11. He fell out of the plane. He fell off the plane.
Yeah.
As a what?
He fell off of it.
He fell off the plane as a Muslim extremist.
Yeah. Yeah, just so there's no confusion, because it could have been that he was just on that plane heading to like a work event. No. He fell out of that plane because he was thrown off by an air marshal, okay?
Yes. It's like that joke, my granddad died in Auschwitz.
Yeah.
He was a Nazi.
Yeah, I'm laughing already. That's so good. I don't think I've heard that one before, actually, yeah.
Yeah, he was one of those Nazis that they killed.
Yeah.
At the...
He's one of those Nazis who did there's people who was like, look, it was a difficult time in Germany, like my grandfather was in the war, but he just had to keep my granddad, he was really in it. He was super keen on being a Nazi. He did some truly deplorable stuff, but at the end of the day, you got to respect the uniform, you know.
At the end of the day, he died in Auschwitz.
Yeah.
He fell off the watchtower.
Yeah. He got hit by a bus uptown.
He was a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
He got crushed by a train. And miss him every day.
Yeah, that was my dad. That happened to my father in the prison in Auschwitz.
That happened to my granny's granddad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just let that stuff go.
So, happy 9/11, everybody. And remember to tip your waitress. That's the tradition. That's tradition to send out all those tips that you have accrued during the year that you owe to waitresses. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You take their name and number and you say, okay, on 9/11, Irish time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you out $3.75.
Yeah.
So if I don't do that, get on to me, and I'll be sure to remember.
I was just thinking there. This is not funny at all, but do you think that if you rang 911 here, that it would go through to emergency services just because they're like, oh no, we need to make it idiot proof for Americans, you know?
I'd say it would go through to Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
And they'd be like,
gotcha.
Gotcha. You've been punked.
Yeah.
You just got punked, bitch.
Ashton Kutcher just like working with Al Qaeda so that when anybody's in Ireland and they ring 911, it just goes straight through and it's like, and the cameras are there and there, and you just got fucking punked. What's
you
that?
Just got
You're
killed.
You're going into anaphylactic shock. Well,
look at you. Why don't you look out your window? And it's just like a Boeing 747 flying directly into the into the building you're in.
So obviously we had to have this podcast to talk about the earth-shattering revelations that were in the new Village piece today. Okay.
Yeah, said I have read. So here's a little test, Gareth.
Yeah.
What did it say?
I love that, like, basically the crux of the article, because they were like, tomorrow at 2 p.m. an article is going to come out with more evidence against Leo Varadkar. And I was like, hell yeah, they find another whistleblower? It's like, no, it's the same guy, and they're just dipping into his messages, finding even more kind of extraneous accusations, like stuff where it's like the main accusation's already been made, and what you're doing now is you're just making it, you're just looking like a petty baby, and you're ruining any chance of a vote of no confidence being like the story that it deserves to be, you know, because it just waters down the initial accusation.
It's like, did you ever hear those albums that Johnny Cash recorded towards the end of his life?
Well, no. Which one? I mean, the one that had a hurt on it. I heard that one.
Yeah. So originally they were going to release one, right? Yeah. And then they just kept going through more and more of the songs that they had from him. Yeah. So originally they were going to release one album. They released 5. Okay. And then the last one was like really bad. It was just like him humming into the microphone. Yeah. Whistling a tune that he heard earlier, but he has no breath and all this sort of stuff. And they're just like, yeah, keep it going. Yeah. That's what the whole whistleblower thing is. It's like, now that it's literally just like, you said you weren't friends, then why did you send him the 3 crying laughing emojis when he told you a joke?
When he sent you a picture of that, a gif of that dolphin, you know, I don't know, whatever dolphins do, that's funny. When he tries to have sex with the trainer, you know, Leo sending that to fucking Matthew O'Toole.
But it's just like it's just like really graphic, like fully, just fully CGI, a CGI dolphin having sex with a woman. It's like, get a load of that. And then Matthew O'Toole's like, good one, Leo.
Yeah. When are you going to see that match? Can I come along? Maybe just talk about
and then he sends him back that one of the frog or the monkey masturbating with the frog, and then Leo's just like, that's real. That's too far, man. You know, it's not funny.
No, I mean,
I'm a doctor, and that's real world suffering, and that's fucked up.
I think the thing that makes it worse is that it makes the whistleblower look worse, because he's like showing these years of messages where he's just party to this guy being a fucking bollocks, and at no point does he ever kind of combat him and go, oh, listen, Matthew, maybe you shouldn't be this much of a shit. He's kind of like, yes, please keep going, please do these things on my behalf and make sure that this happens. And it was like, why are you coming forward now? What was the deal there?
Yeah, because if you see him on Twitter, he's always like trying to dunk on Leo Varadkar. Yeah, he's just like, yeah, suck it to him, Village. You know. Yeah. I can't wait to see Varadkar get killed. Yeah, and it's like, you were sucking up to him as well. Yeah, I mean, one of the ones that my mum pointed out was like, why is this coming out now? It's like, maybe it's because, you know, when Leo went on Claire Byrne and kind of threw Neffet under the bus, and you can understand that. Like, I'm not saying it's a moral thing, but you start to like piss off people within the health sector to the point that they're like, I've got a fucking bunch of messages that could do him damage, and I could take him to somebody like the Village, you know. And so that thevillage.com.
So that's probably what happened. Is it thevillage.com? The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. And great film.
That is such a good film. That's probably the best film I've ever seen.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen thevillage.com.
Oh, you're missing out. It's like all these ghouls and goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Cast your mind back.
Yeah.
To the age of ghouls and goblins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm not talking about the doll.
Oh. Yeah, is that the end of that? That's the plot of the movie then, is it?
Oh yeah. That's what it is.
It's the freaking doll, you know?
Well, it's just like you're watching it and you're like, okay, there's a ghoul, there's a goblin. I guess I'm watching Oireachtas TV.
Yes.
And then you're like, but I know this is an M. Night Shyamalan twist coming up. And then the credits roll and it's like, you're looking for Leo Varadkar, you're looking for Matthew, what's this, the homophobic guy we talked about the other day?
Maddie McGrath.
Yeah, and you're like, wait a sec, all I see is actors like Johnny Depp and...
Yeah, Amber Heard
and maybe...
Think of other people who've...
Some little boy with a, black hair. And you're like...
Sorry, no.
And you're like, I guess that was a film and not Oireachtas TV.
Mm-hmm.
What a twist. The twist is that it's not the Oireachtas, it's a film.
But, yeah.
Do you get it?
I do. Do you know the things that I've heard, like, over the weekend?
I did a laugh and post.
So Sinn Féin are putting forward a motion of no confidence in Leo Varadkar tomorrow, I believe. And a lot of people are saying it's spin, it's distracting. There's a president in America. We need to stop talking about this and prioritize and start talking about countries that aren't Ireland and people that aren't Leo Varadkar. Come on, Sinn Féin. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish someone would start doing that in the doll. Come on, Jack.
Yeah. I found one today. Sorry, not to cut crap, but I was listening to a podcast and they started talking about, let's do our top. It was Blocked Party with John Cullen, which everybody should check out. But it was a top 3. They were doing it. They do the section at the end. It's like top 3. So they went through top 3 Biden moments. So throughout the campaign, and they mentioned one that had completely passed me by. Okay, but did you know that let me just look up the right phrasing of this. A 21-year-old economics student asked Biden whether voters could remain confident. Doesn't matter what she asked. She asked a pretty banal question, okay? And he called her a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
How did I miss that one? How the fuck did I miss that one?
That's almost as good as Trump. Just being like, you lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Yeah.
Why did he say that to her?
I'll look it up now. Concerned. Okay, it was all going so badly for Biden, and then it got worse. This is from The Guardian in February 2020, 10th of February. Concerns for the former vice president's 2020 bid were mounting after he was caught on camera calling a woman a lying dog-faced pony soldier at a campaign stop in New Hampshire on Sunday. When Madison Moore, a 21-year-old economics student, asked Biden whether voters could remain confident in his campaign after his poor performance in the Iowa caucuses, Biden asked her if she had ever attended a caucus. When Moore said yes, Biden responded, "No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier."
That's so good. Like, it's literally a line from The Simpsons. Do you remember Marge's aunt dies and Selma's like, her name will turn to legend. And Homer goes, yeah, the legend of the dog-faced woman. Like, was he just watching The Simpsons 25 years ago?
Well, apparently they claim the Biden campaign came out and said it was from a John Wayne movie, and then
Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, why he would say that to anybody, and what synapse is firing there? Do you know what I mean? To release that, you know?
Yeah, like where did he think he was?
Well, he's just called her a liar as well. She's like, oh, he's like, well, were you ever at a coke? She's like, yes. No, you weren't. I was like, well,
shut up, you bitch.
Shut up, fat dog-faced pony. What? You know the thing, you know?
Yeah. But
in the doll, they should say, come on, man, was where we were going.
Yeah.
Before getting sidetracked.
So Sinn Féin are putting out now in the rap world we would call that a diss track.
Mm-hmm.
In the politics world, it's called a motion of no confidence.
Yeah. What we do on this podcast where we diss each other, that's motion of no confidencing in the doll.
Yes, but to us, it's dissing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little word called dissing.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes a little like this. Gareth, you are a dog face, a lying woman.
Pony bitch.
Pony woman.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Sinn Féin are putting a motion of no confidence into a certain dog-faced man.
Yeah.
Also a liar.
Yeah.
Also a politician.
Yeah.
And when they diss each other, it's called a motion of no confidence.
And when those two things get together, whoa, baby.
Yeah. Cover your eyes. Have you ever seen NWA?
Yes. I've seen them. Never heard them, though. No.
Okay, well, the film's about this rap group called NWA.
Oh.
Right. And eventually they fall out with each other for some reason. I can't remember why. And one of them gets into the booth, the rap booth, and he starts talking about his former friend over music.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you or I were to do that, we'd probably say, oh, Garrett's very nice, very funny, very well read, you know, like knows a lot about politics.
Yeah.
Cares about people. He did the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, Gareth is... he was like... he dissed Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And that's what Sinn Féin did to Fine Gael.
Well, they're going to tomorrow.
They are going to.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Or today, by the time you hear this, probably.
By the time you hear this, yesterday.
Well, I didn't say that, okay? I can have this podcast out on Tuesday. You just watch, Jack. I can do that. The other thing about when he said, listen up, fat, is he also said that he could do more push-ups than the guy who was asking him the question.
It's it's too good to be funny, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Do you know the thing that people on
Trump,
Irish... Yeah, go on.
Trump was the opposite. Like, do you remember, like, he was so funny despite him saying horrible things. Like,
yeah.
Do you remember when he was like, Joe Biden, you know, you think Joe Biden's so good? Let me tell you about his son. And then Biden's like, you mean my son Beau, who died? No, I don't know him. I've never heard of him. I'm talking about Hunter. He's a drug addict.
So much worse when you're just like, I don't know that guy. You're like, oh, that's no good.
And then goes on to just ream the dead guy's brother. You know, like, so funny.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I was just thinking about like people. It's been pretty disgusting this weekend. Being on Twitter and hearing Irish people going on about Biden. It's like, you don't need to. You really don't need to do this.
That's it. Like, why? Here's the one guy in Ireland who I think is allowed to go on about Biden.
Yeah.
His most, his closest relative in the country is a plumber.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't mind if he uses the Biden thing for promotional reasons.
Oh God, no. Yeah, no, that'd be fine. Yeah.
He puts it on. He has it on the side of his truck. He says his slogan is "Biden for the White House."
Yeah.
Whatever his name is for your house.
That's
Plumbing.
good.
It's okay.
Yeah, whatever. You know,
He's not a comedian. He's a plumber.
Yeah. All right, so let's riff this one out. How would we?
We're talking about it, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the thing. But like, no, they go, you know, yeah, exactly. Like him saying that, fair enough. I mean, it's still desperate and awful, but like, it's like, at least you have like, I think if somebody's profiting off of it, I don't really have a problem. If somebody is literally doing it because for just like the love of decency, that's where
I saw someone whip the nene to Trump.
What does that mean?
I think it's a dance, maybe.
Whip the nene. But so like the thing is, people are like trying to, you know, they're trying to make themselves excited about Biden, and I just don't know how they're managing it. But you know. One of the things that they have is they go, oh my God, look, he said he's Irish. You know, they play that thing of somebody from the BBC going, hey, we're from the BBC. Would you do an interview? And he goes, hi, I'm Irish. And then he walks away and they're like, ha, that's great. Look, that's what it's like to have. I was like, that's a senile old man. What type of response to I'm with the BBC is to be like, I'm Irish? Like, you're just kind of like, what are you talking? Like, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's so weird. Like, do you think there's still such a significant Irish vote in America that sort of stuff still matters?
Yeah.
Like, are there people being like, whoa, I didn't know Joe Biden was Irish, just like me. But you know?
I feel like there's not enough of it. There would definitely not be anybody, he wouldn't make a single fucking vote off of somebody being like, he's Irish, like me. I don't believe that.
So what's he doing? Why is he? I mean,
because
the
it
Irish
just reminds
Times
people of. Sorry, it just reminds the people of the Kennedys, and they like that.
But I don't think when Sinn Féin launches motion no confidence, they expect it to pass.
No,
they're just doing it to disrupt things.
Yeah,
in a good way.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty. I mean, like I've heard people go, "This is really good politics. This is really savvy," and it's like, of course, you should be doing that. I just find it like, I don't think it's savvy so much as it should be expected that you put a motion of no confidence against somebody who leaked fucking documents. It's like, of course you should. What are you talking about? Like, it shouldn't be a tactic. It should be the function of any democracy. Do you know?
I'm very surprised Labour are supporting it.
Yeah, no, I was kind of surprised as well.
Considering, didn't they come out and they were just like, or was that it was Labour and they were just like,
no, it was Labour, yeah.
A simple apology will do.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't apologise, so they're like, time to kill.
Yeah. Get in for the kill. Alan Kelly smells it in the air, the hunt. Yeah. You know,
should have apologized. It's just like Day of the Jackal style.
One of the other things is people. I saw somebody going on about like, and then Varadkar chose now to bring up that lady who threw the milkshake at him to draw attention away from it. And I was like, why would he choose now to bring up that? That makes him look like the pettiest fucking man in the world. It makes him look so much worse that he's like, hey, you know that woman who hit me with a milkshake 2 months ago? Well, I want all of the powers of Angarda Síochána to descend on this witch, you know?
Yeah, just like a show execution, basically.
Yeah. What was like, because I didn't really read the thing.
The guards are looking for a woman who looks like she leads an alternative lifestyle and attends protests.
Okay, cool.
So, also known as someone who has set foot in Jigsaw after midnight. That's
also known as freaking the weirdos at NCAD. Those weirdos.
Also known as maybe the
Bloody Pussy Riot.
Yes. Yeah. Also known as Pussy Riot.
Yeah. So
she's Ireland's Pussy Riot. I was just about to say that. Would do you still think it's a conspiracy?
I mean, now less so. Now that he's actually upset, I think probably not.
Maybe they're just like, it was conspiracy, but he's just still going to arrest her. You know?
Is it a case that like he kind of wants to like? Do you think there's any merit to being like playing the victim? Do you know what I mean? Like bringing it up now. Do you remember when I got hit by a milkshake?
Yeah.
I'm actually. So do you think there's anything to that, or is it like? I mean, it's possible. He is incredibly misguided in his attempts to deflect constantly, like the multinationals tweet and stuff like that. And
I don't know. I didn't see him tweet about it. I just read about it in the paper.
Right.
So like, I think almost more what happened was that he was pretending to play it cool.
Yeah.
And then he's like, huh, I thought it was Avril freaking Lavigne. And then he's and everyone's like, whoa, he just played that off. But then secretly he was like, have her arrested and killed.
Yeah.
I think that's what
I want her
seeing.
bloodline ended. Okay. It's like some mob boss. I want her pets dead. I want her family dead. You know, friends.
We were talking about the Fine Gael backbencher.
Yeah, that was funny. I really liked that because
it was like just an even more petty, like. So the whole thing was like, I assume it was in retaliation for Shane Ross's book.
Right. Yeah. Probably.
And because they were all really annoyed about that. And then this guy from Fine Gael, anonymously, such a coward, is like...
I don't think he was anonymous. No.
Are you sure?
He put his name to it. Yeah, no, I'll get the name up now. I have the article here. Alan Farrell.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was just like... so harsh. He was like... What was it? With all due disrespect, Shane Ross was a complete waste of time because he didn't sort out legislation for electric scooters in Ireland as Minister for Transport.
You're like, I thought that you were joking there. He did actually say, and I mean absolute disrespect to him.
He destroyed him. And then he was like, I have an electric scooter and I love it. And it's just so unfair that I can't ride it around Dublin thanks to the complete waste of time that was Shane Ross. And it's just like, this man is crying to the papers that he can't ride his electric scooter around Ireland. And he's like, there's literally one line where he's like, I'm 43 years old. I should be able to ride my electric scooter wherever I want.
Yeah.
And it's like, you are a baby.
I'm quoting this from the Journal now. From the headline of the article is Fine Gael TD brands Shane Ross a waste of time over electric scooters. But this one I thought was very funny. So I was reading down through it. But where the fuck is it gone? Oh yeah, Farrell argued e-scooters and e-bikes are now an integral part of the Irish transport system. An integral part of the Irish transport system. And he's like, we should be allowed to do this. And he like just imagine, this is me if I became Minister for Video Games and it was like, Shane Ross has done nothing about Ratchet and Clank being tracked on the PlayStation 3. It is a fucking disgrace what is happening, you know? And it's who gives a shit?
It would be like if you were Minister for Arts and Culture.
Yeah.
And you were giving out about Ratchet and Clank. You know what I mean?
I think it's an absolute disgrace that Search for Booty, I think that's the name of it. What is it called? Quest for Booty?
Search for Booty.
No, it's called Quest for Booty. They actually did that. They called it Quest for Booty.
Yeah.
Great. They used to be a lot raunchier back in the day, and that's what also something that Shane Ross has lost. Video games have lost.
Raunchy Ratchet and Clank. I want to see them have sex.
I want to see there be tension.
I want to see like this alien, and it has two big bulbous, things on its head, and then Ratchet or Clank, whichever one's the rat, is like, are those real or fake? Are those natural?
Yeah. Oh baby.
And then the alien is like, these are my version of cancer, and I'm dying.
Man, that's such a horrible. They need to find a cure.
No, they don't.
So what was it?
No, I'm only messing. They do.
I just want to, I don't want to let that go past. I think that they should cure cancer.
Just get this gets on the record. I do actually think that they should cure cancer. I was only messing before.
Yeah. It was funny because that Backbench TD also, I believe he released like some weird tweet where he had him on electric scooters and talking about how they needed to be available for everybody.
So good. Like that guy doesn't even believe that medicine should be available for everybody, and he's just like, give him free scooters. Spend that budget. Yeah. Like the only thing he wants to spend money on is just like scooter, charging facilities. Yeah.
What's the other one I was going to say? Oh yeah, and this comes after what's his face? The dumb bitch. Simon Harris is saying we need to remove like toxicity from our politics. We need to be we already knew Leo is pretty toxic. This isn't, the party is awful as well. We all know that, yeah. But to have such a perfect example where it's like e-scooters, and this guy is like, Shane Ross is a waste of fucking skin because he wouldn't let me ride my e-scooter around. You're just like, it's like, you don't really need, like, that's just the perfect example of just the most petty fucking thing.
I know, and like, the example he gave is he's like, I'd love to be able to ride my e-scooter to the Dart. And it's just like, you can do that. Like, I've seen people ride e-scooters on the M50, You can just... no one's going to stop you. And he's like, I don't want to get arrested.
The worst part is like, that's their, like... Because he's bringing it up now. It's like with therapy with them. It's like... And also, it's really good for the environment. So it's like, we should be doing this. I was like, I know you're having fun on your scooter, but, like... It's the difference to the environment is... fucking negligible, because of
I do love that people are just like, they can't just be like, these are really popular, we should figure out a way to bring them into the system because why not. Instead he's like, actually they're really good for the environment. I
was thinking about like Step Brothers, where it's like, and we'll have so much room for activities, and it's really like they put together this proposal, they're gonna pitch on the idea, and he's like, you're grown adults, and he's like, so does that mean we can do it? And he's like, I don't give a fuck. It's just like, and you're living in a fucking other world. The idea that they can exhibit so much passion for the dumbest thing ever, and there's literally homeless people dying on the street, and they're just like, well, they probably deserved it,
He's just ramping over a homeless person,
Yeah.
He's like, drives the scooter directly over their head, and he's like, hey, watch out.
Yeah.
You wrecked my chrome wheel.
Yeah. I'm just going on my list. I wanted to just quote this Gabriel Byrne thing here really quickly, in case you haven't seen it.
And then we'll talk about Joe Biden.
So Gabriel Gurn? Huh? I wonder what that would be like. Okay?
Yeah, he would be on
He'd be like Popeye, Yeah. Gurning,
I'd say he's going to be on E, because the way people like chew their lips and stuff on E.
Yes, that's so much better. Him just...
No, it's just different. It's just different.
Trying to imagine a Gabriel Byrne film where he's had a few ecstasy tablets.
Well, I tell you, if you've seen
Miller's
Hereditary, he is probably on
Hereditary.
He is on LSD because that film was freaky.
Yeah.
What were they smoking?
Probably, Cool World? He was probably on tons of LSD when he was in Cool World.
I haven't seen it. What else?
Okay.
Give me another.
Miller's Crossing.
He was probably on drugs when he did that one.
What else is he in? The Usual Suspects.
Probably on crack.
Yeah.
Vikings.
What's another film he was in? I think he was in a movie called End of Days, so I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, End of the Bag.
He was in End of Days.
Yeah, well, End of the Bag.
Yeah, End of the Bag, starting a new one, and then he went into, let me just look up his IMDb really quickly.
Yeah.
Then he went, this is how you vamp, you just go talk really slow. Then he was in the movie Excalibur. He went back in time, he was in the movie Excalibur.
Maybe he was on Ye Old Crack.
Yes, maybe he was.
Maybe he is.
Yeah. So anyhow, Gabriel Byrne has said...
here's something. Gabriel Byrne doesn't have a website.
Okay. Why would he need one?
I don't know. I suppose. Why not?
Imagine a lot of actors don't have websites.
Here's a question. What is his most recent film?
Let me think about... I won't look it up. That'd be cheating. What was his most recent film? I'm going to say some animated bullshit. And it will be... Trolls. The Trolls movie.
Trolls. He must have been on Magic
Was he in
Mushrooms.
Trolls?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking me because it would be funny. No, he was in a movie called Lost Girls.
Oh, well, that's sad.
Well, he was in a documentary. He did the narration for a documentary called Atlantic Salmon, Lost at Sea.
Cool. I love when famous... That's one thing I do like. If you go to Northern Ireland, you'll see, like...
Yeah.
Liam Neeson, and he does ads for, like, swimming lessons and stuff.
Yeah. Or where like they do like very niche, like that niche documentaries, like the Atlantic salmon. It's like that's clearly something he's just interested in. Like there's no way they like.
Or his cousin was a salmon fish or something, and he's like, sure.
When he emails on Thursday night, this is The Guardian talking about Gabriel Byrne. When he emails on Thursday night, he blames the Democrats for the tight results. Quote, "This is the second time they've come up against a game show host and they've learned nothing. Again, they seriously underestimated the level of anger among mostly blue-collar workers." End quote. I don't need to ask him if he feels any optimism. He has already been pretty clear. Quote, "At least it's the end of that guy, but personally I can't stand Biden, an exceptionalist roaring about America as the moral leader of the world. All this crap. You can't appeal to people in Maine or Wisconsin or Michigan by saying this is a battle for the soul of America. It's just political garbage. Nothing much will change under Biden because his thing is, let's return America to what it was. Well, what America was caused Trump. The Democrats rolled out the red carpet." I was like, thank you. That was an Irish man saying that over the weekend after seeing all these fucking... I was like, oh my God, you know?
Gabriel Byrne is like the opposite of Ryan Tuberty.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan Tuberty just had a wet dream in the middle of the night as Biden was declared winner.
Yeah. Like, he gets to write another book now about, like, I don't know if you read that little children's book he wrote where he met Kennedy as a little kid.
Yes, and then Kennedy got assassinated 2 weeks later.
Coincidence?
No, not a coincidence.
No. So what they do is they have the second children's book, and it's him as a fully grown man meeting Joe Biden.
But still dressed in shorts like he was in the...
Yeah. And meeting a really senile Joe Biden and being given, like, you know, a great recipe for, like, some shrimp gumbo if he ever, you know, cared to do it. And he's like, what is it with cups? You know, because he keeps giving the measurements in cups. Of course, we don't have those here. And then Biden's like, cups. I had a drink out of a sippy cup one time when I was down at the beach. And there was a guy kicked sand in my face. Awful person. At that day, sand was coarser. It was rougher. It got everywhere, you know?
The sea hadn't worn it down yet. And then, like, Marion Toby's just stroking Biden's leg hair. It is like...
Yeah,
I suppose you've never seen white hair before.
Yeah.
Didn't he say that about the black kids? He was like, the black kids used to stroke my legs because they'd never seen white man's leg hair before. Did you hear that?
Yeah. That was it. That he, like...
That's the annoying thing, is that, like, whenever you mention these Biden things, people...
Yeah.
You never sure if someone's making them up. Like, if you had told me he called someone a dog-faced lying woman, I'd be like, oh, you made that up.
What was the one? The other one out of the top three, because they had Brendan James on, and he's really good. So I'm going to try and find this. Joe Biden talking about, like, gay rights or something. Did you see this?
No.
God, what was it? He basically... Oh, I can't find it. Oh, wait, here it is. Okay, the Huffington Post, October 2019. I always think of the Huffington Post in relation to 30 Rock, where it's like, Kenneth goes, he died doing what he loved, blogging for the Huffington Post. It's such a sad thing. So, after going on a... Okay, here we go. The former vice president...
Obama made fun of the Huffington Post.
Oh, yeah? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was epic.
So, the former vice president made the comments to CNN. I'm going to... Because you know the way they give it away in the first paragraph. I want to, like, give you the full quote rather than the snippets. The former vice president made the comments to CNN's Anderson Cooper, who was moderating the Los Angeles Town Hall event, a forum for 9 Democratic presidential candidates to discuss LGBTQ issues. After going on a tangent about stereotypes surrounding gay people, Biden concluded with a reflection on how the discourse about homosexuality had changed in recent years, compared with about 2 decades ago. So here's the quote. Remember, Anderson. So by the way, also, for those of you who don't know, Anderson Cooper is gay, like famously a gay reporter over there. Remember, Anderson, back 15, 20 years ago, when we talked about this in San Francisco, it was all about, gay bathhouses. It was all about round-the-clock sex. Come on, man. Gay couples are more likely to stay together longer than heterosexual couples.
Wow, that's...
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Except apparently he, like... If I remember correctly, you're going to hear a little bit of this clip, because I want to see...
San Francisco is all about,
right. Gay bathhouse. Yeah, that was it. He says gay like multiple times, which they took out of this one. Gay bathhouses. Yeah.
You know when you hear about like benevolent racism and homophobia and stuff in America, and you're just like, I wonder what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, we're not at the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
It is Joe Biden. Like,
there was
that time when he was like, the thing about Obama is he's the first well-spoken, clean black man to run. It's the stuff of fairy tales. It's like, that's so much more racist than saying he's from Kenya. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Well, that's like, it is kind of, because, like, I mean, there's the part where it's like, you're accepting that, you know, like, to say someone's from Kenya is to other them, to say, like, you know, you're not like me. Whereas, like, to condescend to somebody and be like, wow, you're just like me, you wear clothes and everything. Like, that's something, to me, that is so much like, it's like the dog's wearing a bow tie. Wow. You know what I mean?
I know, it just shows how, like, how he probably thinks that he has to civilize them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's incredible. And then, like, even when you read about, like, stuff Kamala Harris says, and they're like, what are you going to bring to the table? And she's just like, well, I'm a black woman, so I'm going to bring my experience. And, like, she's basically just like, Joe Biden does not care about black people at all. So, I'll have to steer him. Like, that's sort of the implication of what... I don't think she will. She's just going to continue to lock them all up. But, like, that's the reassurance people needed with Joe Biden. They're like, I like him. He's obviously extremely racist, but in the way I'm racist, and now he has this black woman to tell him he's racist.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that was the other thing, is in like, you know, when the election results were coming in and people were like, oh, were you relieved to have Biden win? And I was like, I'm indifferent to having Biden win, but I'm annoyed that he didn't. It wasn't a repudiation of the Trump presidency, which it should have been. It wasn't like, we hate this guy because he's racist. It was like, no, we don't like him, and we will reluctantly vote for you because, you know, and yeah, I mean, again, like, yeah.
I noticed the Irish papers are already going easy on Biden.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the things I read, and it was like, why say this? Because it's just not true. They were just like, Biden's going to be great for the environment. He's going to stop fracking.
Yeah.
And then when you actually read the article, they were like, what he's going to do is he's going to stop new fracking projects on federal lands.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, like, so the comparison would be that when Nixon was in office, he brought in the EPA, right?
Yeah.
And the EPA brought in all these new guidelines for oil refinery.
Mm-hmm.
And all they did was made it prohibitively expensive to set up a new oil refinery.
Yeah.
But you could repurpose old ones.
Right.
So all that did is it basically said that, like, any oil refinery at the moment can still work, and you'll have no new competitors forever.
Yeah.
And that's just what's going to happen with this. It's just going to be like, these fracking companies are going to find new ways of, like, setting up new projects under the guise of expansion or under the guise of, you know, through some loophole.
Yeah.
And it'll just allow them to drive up their prices because no new projects are allowed to start, you know?
Yeah.
So if you want fracking to be done, you have to approach a company that already exists, is already operating, and know they can charge what they like because no one else can do it.
Well, also he's saying not on federal land, so that means like what you just buy a plot of land off in fucking Texas or whatever. Like, how much of it is already taking place on federal land at all?
Exactly,
you know?
And like, I mean, he's even said, "I have no plans to stop fracking," and it's like, great. So why even introduce this bill? So yeah, basically my point is that, like, in the papers, you're getting this vibe that Joe Biden's going to be good for the environment or, like, good for anything, but he's not. Like, he's already talking about putting, like, you sent me the article, I read some other stuff. He's talking about putting Republicans in his government.
Oh yeah, that was it. The one that was funny though is that it's Meg Whitman who ran, I don't know, she ran for government in California as a Republican and just ate shit. She used to be involved with Hewlett Packard, but her latest claim to fame is that she was one of the people who created Quibi.
What is Quibi?
Quibi was a media venture by Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman, and it was designed to be like a platform like, you know, Netflix or whatever, but the idea was that they targeted, it's called Quick Bites and then shortened to Quibi.
Yes.
And the idea was that it was meant to be short little bites of entertainment that were made to a very high production standard. So you'd have like Kevin Hart and, like, you know, celebrities of some description doing like little web series, but the web series would be like 5 minutes long or something like that. How it, like, or even less, like something that the idea was that it was something that you could watch while you were waiting in line for a cup of coffee. And then they launched just as the idea of waiting in line became obsolete, you know? And unless you're talking about voting in a fucking primary, which Joe Biden encouraged all of his supporters to do. But anyhow, he...
yeah,
so
didn't they put like $2 billion into that or something? Like some huge amount of money?
Oh, they like... it was at least $1 billion went into it, research. But I don't know if it ended up at $2 billion by the end. I think it's at least close to $2 billion.
$1 billion. That's half of a children's hospital in Crumlin.
Yeah, no. So they started it. It launched in February and it like ended like a few weeks ago or like a month ago. And it was like some of the shows on it. I think Trash Future Pod said some of the shows on it are like the fake shows you get on 30 Rock. You know, like they literally had one of them was actually a joke show in Black Books, which was a house makeover show but for dog kennels.
Did you know Dasha from Red Scare got an offer to make something?
Are you for real?
And I think she was like, when they're asking me, they're in trouble.
Yeah. There must be like what the RTE player does. They kind of like, oh, who's popular, who's big, who's got like a devoted online following that's willing to give like small amounts of money for like this membership to see this, you know? Like it stands to reason that they would approach like podcasters. But the other one was the other show that they had, which I thought was really good, was a realty show, like, you know, property realtors, but they were trying to sell haunted houses.
It sucks. That's such a bad idea.
Let's look up some Quibi shows really quickly. Anyway,
that is like something out of 30 Rock, isn't it? Just like
it is, yeah.
Haunted realtors, dog makeover.
But she's a Republican. She presided over this, and she's according to Politico, is being looked at to be Biden's like Secretary of Commerce or something.
And like he's hired other people, like he's hired a load of people from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
So basically it's just another opportunity for Silicon Valley to become more influential in government policy. Like when you read about the Prop 22 stuff that happened over there.
Oh God, that was like, grim. Yeah.
It's sort of like, you know what, I know we always don't want to get too into American stuff, but it's pretty relevant for employment law, you know? So like, basically Prop 22, it basically established that Uber workers, or like gig economy workers, weren't employees and didn't need employment benefits. Which in America would be things like, you know, health insurance and access to medical care and stuff like that.
Oh, Lord.
And they say that the legislation was just almost tailor-made by the companies themselves, particularly Uber.
Yeah, I believe that the CEO is a former Obama guy as well.
Yeah, and I think one of them is related to Kamala Harris. In Uber. But so when you read about the marketing, some of it was really grim. Like, if you to use Uber or to like get gigs on Uber, you had to watch ads to about like vote yes on Prop 22, whatever it was. It was the biggest spend on political advertising in the history of America on one bill. Like, it was just crazy. It was just these companies being like, we'll do anything not to look after our workers. Yeah. And their whole thing was just like, the workers are independent contractors and the customers are their employers. And we're just a matchmaking service. Yeah. Which is just so untrue. They're basically saying we're like Indeed.ie or like Monster.co.uk or something. Yeah. Well, even worse, just, like they're, you know, like you're hired by this company, or you know, like it's like whatever. What I'm saying is that the other part is where you by them. Yeah, but the part where you like, you know, you have your own car, so you're the one driving around, you're the one paying the petrol, you're the one doing like all of this stuff, like, you know, and it's like, what is this company actually doing or contributing in any way, shape or form, except just creating a website whereby they skim a bit off of your profits and, you know, they kind of act as a conduit for you to, I don't know, be connected with people. Exactly. You know? And then the crazy, like the other part is that, you know, this is all done through apps. Yeah. They're collecting data from you. Through the app and making money off you that way. So they're just making money at every level, and they're just desperate to like completely disrupt the status quo of employment in America.
But that's like but that's like it is important for Ireland as well, because that is what's going to happen here. Like that, the type of shit that they do over there is the stuff that our fucking elites or whatever, they love that shit here. Like co-living, let's say when I think it was probably created in Austria or somewhere, that they had like some, I don't know, but like basically that was made with like a kind of public consciousness thing in mind, and then it goes over to Silicon Valley, and then it gets warped and turned into something disgusting, and then it comes here. Do you know what I mean? That's the trajectory, because if we have Silicon tech whatever fuckers on the docks, like they're able to influence, I don't know if they influence policy, but let's say it's like influencing like this kind of what the government thinks that they need to do to keep them there,
big time.
So I could just see a situation developing where we I don't know. I mean, we already have like with Deliveroo and stuff like this, just people on these precarious working conditions, receiving absolutely no benefits, who are actually, funnily enough, more exposed and vulnerable. You see, like Diego Cortez, who was just killed. And how many people are getting hit by cars or likely to fucking die delivering
or even
food,
just like how many times you walk past a tent in Dublin and there's been a Deliveroo bag beside it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, the workers are homeless.
Yeah.
And it's just at times like this, you need to go back to the idea of what good are companies. And one of the good things is that they pay a wage, but it's not simply about paying a wage. It's also they have responsibility to the people they hire.
Yeah.
Like, so you just can't have this system where basically if you own a few algorithms, a bit of intellectual property, you can just completely exploit vulnerable people. That's not beneficial for the country.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I'm like not looking forward to about a Biden presidency, which is the return to like, just like, obviously people are like, oh, he's paying lip service and he's doing all this type of stuff, but like people really didn't like how brazen Trump was with all the stuff that he was doing. But now we're going to return to the stuff is being done, but people are just a little bit quieter about it, or don't really talk about it all that much,
That's it. And, there's some people who think that, like, oh, now that Biden's president, people stop paying attention to the presidency and they'll get on with like local activism.
Yeah.
And like there will be some people who do that, but they were doing it anyway. And then the rest of the people will just like, the great thing about Trump is that he would never do anything quiet. Well, he did some stuff quietly, but when he say ban trans people from the media or from the army,
exactly,
he did it openly.
Yeah.
So people were aware of it, whereas no one's aware of, like, say, the fact that there were children in cages under Obama. They won't be aware of this hollowing out of workers' rights under Biden, because it's all going to be done so discreetly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, like, I remember, I really bought into the Obama stuff when I was, like, 18 or something, do you know what I mean? And I really found it to be, like, this is a tremendous moment, this is going to be a moment of real change and whatever. And for years and years and years, I kind of just didn't want to poke at it too much, do you know what I mean? It's like, you could see all this terrible stuff happening, but you were like, oh, that's just in response to a black president, rather than in response to conditions that were being set up and were being enabled or ignored by Barack Obama's presidency. But I remember, like, the kind of slow chipping away at my kind of, love for the man, where it'd be like, you'd hear, like, you'd be like, well, actually, Obama's doing his best. He just wants to do this, that, and the other. And then somebody would try and one-up you online, like, oh, yeah, well, how do you feel about this? And they'd have an article for, like, some fucking pipeline that he was overseeing. You're like, you just suddenly feel, you get to a point where you stop, like, defending that. Like, it used to be that, oh, he's playing the long game. And then you realize, no, he's not. He's just as bad as them. And there's a lot of people, like me, I kind of was like, it made me more activated in trying to find some good people, because I thought that things could be done right and they didn't have to be bad. But there are people who will just be met with that and this slow chipping away to the point that they'll just be like, fuck this, you all suck. I mean, that's what's happened. That's what we're seeing with Biden. It's like, and that's what I'm worried about. Like, it's like, you know, promising a kind of that, you know, all right, let's get that lunatic out of the White House and let's try and like come from a baseline civility and let's just try and make society better. And then knowing that and seeing already the evidence that that's not going to happen, it's like just how demoralizing that's going to be for some wide-eyed person who just really wanted to get Trump out of the White House, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just feeling really like scared about that. Because that, I guess that type of giving up this time round is going to be so much scarier in 2024. You know, whatever they fucking have, it's going to be like just, and it is like people say, oh yeah, but that's America, and I was like, yeah, but it's also the fucking environment. It's the whole world, you know.
I think the one thing I would say that it's hopeful is that, like, say under Obama, the countercultural figure was who was that guy? Ralph Nader, or
yeah,
no.
Exactly, yeah.
And the other guy, what's his son? Is that the guy with the son, the libertarian?
Rand Paul.
Yeah, and like these guys, I don't know. I felt like under Obama, the countercultural force was libertarianism.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, you wouldn't be entirely wrong. No, yeah.
I don't know. This is very spurious, but like I remember on Reddit, they sort of like they did like Obama, but they also like these guys who are just like, oh, there should be no rules. People should smoke weed all the time, all this sort of stuff. Whereas now I feel like you do have the first time serious, like social democrat, left-minded individuals. Yeah, in like, government, you know.
Well, I think also like the difference as well is that like Nader, a lot of people hated on Nader. I don't know that much about him. All I know is that like he sounds a lot better than the people that were running in 2004, and so, but he's incredibly dull, you know. And it's easy to be like, yeah, whatever, he's not a real serious threat, fuck that guy, who cares, he's just this dull man who blah blah blah. But it's first of all, it's a lot harder to ignore Bernie Sanders because he's quite a character. But then the other one is like AOC, and what like because I've been like in two minds about AOC, because I keep thinking about Barack Obama and waiting for the other shoe to drop where she like disappoints or sells out. And I mean, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, if we come to it. But yeah, what she said there recently in The Guardian, it was like, yeah, you're right. That does give hope. This idea that Biden wins and she's like, fuck the Democrats, they shouldn't have put us in this position. And it's like, that's like, you know, a day after he's declared. And it's like, that's a person who's young, exciting, who people take seriously, who's like funny, charismatic. And it's like, you know, in the cases where she could have made the easy choice in the past few years, she's decided to make not the easiest choice. And like she didn't have to endorse Bernie Sanders, especially after his heart attack, you know, but she did, and she kind of put a shot in the arm of his campaign. And a lot of people thought that she would eventually kind of, you know, toe the line with the Democratic establishment, but so far she hasn't. And even in this article, she's like, I don't even want to fucking be in politics anymore. She's like, I could see myself not being here in a few years because everybody is just constantly combative and undermining and is just making my life miserable. But I ran a second time because I wanted to show that the policies that we ran on are things that people want, you know? Yeah. And her name is synonymous with the Green New Deal. And you know, I guess just with people out there like that, and that the progressives won, and I kind of hate the word progressives because it feels like it's been taken by bad actors, but there are people who were exciting and the young blood of the party, which the party should be and is trying to be, except for the efforts of fucking Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, you know, and all these fucking, you know, old fucks who are just like, just anyway, whatever about them. But basically, it's we didn't get the repudiation of Trump, but we did get this confirmation that no, actually, people support these policies and they support the people who support those policies. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a positive, and if there's a way to build upon that, we just need to fucking hope to God, you know.
Like, I'd be more, I'd be less confident about what's going on in Britain. Like, since Corbyn was secretly executed by the Labour, whatever they're called.
Labour right, let's say.
It does feel like any potential heir has been successfully frightened off, Yeah,
no, they have, because nobody came out for Corbyn,
I know. Like, with AOC, there was when she was getting bullied, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as what happened to Corbyn. Like, Corbyn was just nuked from space,
Yeah, but she's like...
But like, they so handily, like, this guy was in politics for years, decades.
Yeah.
And then they just nuked him from orbit because they just destroyed his political career,
Yeah.
And it's just something that hasn't happened to AOC yet, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying it won't, and I'm not saying she's not getting dog's abuse, but like, it seems like in England it was a successful destruction of the left in Labour.
I feel like she has more power though than Jeremy Corbyn, because Jeremy Corbyn was just like kind of nice old man who said some things, why don't we do this? And people are like, you know what, yeah, I'd go behind that over what the Conservatives are peddling. And he, enough to deny the Tories a majority, and then they went into bed with the DUP. But like, then all of the media forces were just trained on him and just like zeroing in. And, they are the same with AOC, but it's just an old man who's kind of a gentle old man, as opposed to this young, like, I really don't want to say this, a firecracker, like I think that she's just basically got more cultural cachet than Corbyn does. And she was actually able to use that a lot better,
I don't know, like, Corbyn was at a lot of he was like he had like rappers and
Glastonbury,
stuff. I think the difference is that, Corbyn posed a real threat at the time, whereas, like, to the establishment, whereas AOC is a burgeoning threat. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
She's not leader of the Democrats. She's not president. She's, whereas Corbyn was leader of Labour. But like, it's depressing to me that no one has come out after Corbyn.
Yeah. No, there's no successor, exactly. But I mean, the other thing as well is that AOC hasn't been really around long enough to have as many air quotes scandals as Corbyn did.
That's
like, but also obviously it's a completely different fucking landscape politically, but I don't know. I think she's like, she's a Latino woman. Do you know what I mean? It's like there is something inherently more exciting about her than with Corbyn, and that's not I like Corbyn, but it's just, I think it's easier to dismiss this old, kind of slightly pretty dull allotment granddad guy, than it is with AOC. Like, and I also think that the right-wing media kind of cannot keep up with the stuff that she's doing, to the same way that, the stranglehold that the Conservatives have over the media in the UK,
AOC is also just not like, it's important to see these people for who they are, and like, AOC is someone who's happy to work. I think she's happy with the system. She just wants it to be fairer, I
don't know. I think she's actually a little bit savvier, to be honest. Like, I genuinely think, I don't know, maybe I'm just buying too much into that article, but just the idea that she said, like, I'm pretty much, might leave politics, I'm not really that bothered. Do you know what I mean? Makes me think that she is somebody who would, like, I don't think she would split the party. Do you know what I mean? Like, and start a DSA type separate to the Democratic Party. But I don't think she would be, like, if somebody else did that, I feel like she'd be amenable. I mean, even if she mightn't really go with it, you wouldn't see her just being like, think about the country, we have to keep this stuff together. It's like, you know.
No, but I think that she's more like, she's not like Bernie, who is essentially a Marxist, you know?
I don't know. I think wasn't he just, what was the expression, a New Deal Democrat? He's somebody who actually does believe that you can work inside this system.
Yeah, maybe I'm reading too much into Bernie. I wish we had someone like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, you know, there are people like that. They just really don't, like, I think, I'm not, I don't want to put my, yeah.
There's a guy, Connor Reddy, I think his name is. He's good. PvP, I like him.
What's the, I mean, Paul Murphy? I don't know. I'd argue for Paul Murphy. I think he's pretty good.
I don't know. Paul Murphy's too crazy for me. Like, his mom tweeted today and he was like, you know, we were laughing earlier, but he was like, here it is, more proof. Varadkar met with Metro Tool 7 times. Not 3, 7. And like, it's just a bit unhinged for me, you know?
I think when they said that, the thing that really bugs me is because Varadkar's like, I wasn't really that great a friend type. You know, there are friends, and then there are people you meet up with, like, what, 2 or 3 times a year, and they're going, you said 3 times a year, and here it is 8, and you're just like, okay, like, I hate him, but even I can be like, look, you can, you know, just a couple of those, a couple or 2, you know, you need to specify. You're just like, shut the fuck up, you look like a loser, and you're making our whole cause look ridiculous, you know. It's like, what he did was wrong, and like, I really wish they just fucking kept their mouth shut and let the motion of no confidence do its thing, you know. But anyway, what was the other one? One thing, I guess we're over an hour now, but we wanted to wrap up on, just because we were talking about the idea of you know, I guess iconic figures that could be in Irish politics, like an AOC or somebody here, where it felt like, let's get a fucking bit of passion going here. And what are you talking about, James? Don't we have Mary Lou McDonald? Yeah,
Mary Lou McDonald for Taoiseach is what I tattooed on my forehead.
So I love, like, the one that I really hated was like, somebody was like, this girl's Halloween costume wins everything.
I hated that.
I hated that so much. This girl dressed as Mary Lou, and it was like, this is so awful. Like, and I'm not comparing these two people, but I'm comparing the sycophantic approach to them, which is, it's like Hillary Clinton. It's like this weird thing where it's like, you're projecting so much sort of, like, you know, character and charm onto this person who is like, just like, well, the Hillary was like dull and shit, but like Mary Lou is just like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess she's all right, you know. She kind of makes you go, oh yeah, fine, yeah.
RBG was the other one.
Yeah. Oh my god, RBG, Jesus Christ.
And it's like, I understand that, like if you're a woman and you want, like, not a role model, but you're looking for sources of inspiration, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's slim pickings, particularly in Irish politics, but just don't do that. Just, you know, don't do that.
Just, but you got like Catherine Connolly, Breach Smith, Ruth Coppinger. All these people are incredible, and then it's like focusing on like Mary Lou, and it's like she's just kind of, like the most. The worst part is like, you know, we said it before, but like they try to put on the kind of, you know, the guys put on the politician costume, you know, to put on the suits and to do this, but it's like, but no, we're different to them. We put on suits, but we have no ties. But it's still, you're still putting on a costume to be seen as legitimate. Do you know what I mean? And it means that somebody can do a Halloween costume of you because you very deliberately chosen the way that you dress to be this kind of iconic, you know, fucking Nicola Sturgeon looking, Angela Merkel, whatever. Do you know? It's like, it's annoying that you have to accept that. It's like, oh, to be like real politicians, we have to look like those guys, you know, rather than actually doing. I mean, you know, this isn't to say that Mary Lou doesn't do that. It's just annoying that they like borrow those things very deliberately to try and be, you know, whatever, politicians. It's like, you know, that the work doesn't stand for itself. I mean, maybe it doesn't, but it's still, it's just like, you know, what am I even saying? Catherine Connolly, Breach Smith, Ruth Coppinger. Ruth Coppinger obviously doesn't have a seat anymore, unfortunately.
What about the one?
Saoirse McHugh.
Yeah, or the traveller woman, the first traveller woman.
Oh yeah, she's amazing. Eileen Flynn, I believe.
Yeah.
Lynn Boylan.
So for Halloween 2021, here's some Celtic Tiger endorsed women's costumes.
Yeah, and if you dress up as anything else, then you're a bad feminist and a bad ally.
You have BPD.
Okay.
That's a joke, Gareth. Come on, calm down.
Okay. Calm down, dear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's, and we still, after again, we were always threatening to talk about an email we got sent in about us being unfair to Sinn Féin. But I swear to God, next.
Yeah. No, let's just do that now. Why not?
Okay.
Because we're talking about Sinn. We're talking about Sinn Féin.
Yeah, yeah.
Or as I call them,
okay.
Sinn Féin, Spin Féin.
It's like, oh, Spin Féin. Spin Féin. I mean, it just drives me. I mean, I know, like, I call them, goes without saying.
I call them Spliff Féin.
Yeah, no, that's better. Yeah. Cool. So I don't know if this person wants to be identified, so I'm just going to read the emails that I was sent.
We'll just call them Soldier F.
Oh God, yeah, they love that. So basically, I was listening to A World to Win. It was a podcast done by Tribune magazine, I believe. Wait, but anyway, they were interviewing. Huh?
Who's saying this?
This is me. No, I listened to this podcast. It's a British podcast, and they were interviewing Mary Lou, but it's a leftist podcast in Britain. And then I was like really kind of struck by the interview. I was like, wow, like, you know, she was saying some really good stuff, and she was being really thoughtful about like what we need to do with you know, with Ireland and the future of the country, and talking like just making a load of sense. And I was like, it was kind of something I hadn't really been exposed to, you know. So I decided to send it on to this person and be like, hey, you know, here's this podcast in case you're interested, because I know that they were you know, proponents of Sinn Féin, or, you know, I don't know whether they probably call themselves a Sinn Féin supporter. Anyway, so she said, I have to disagree with your criticisms of her on the podcast. I think she is doing pretty well as opposition leader. The fact that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil can't conceal their rage every time her name comes up, and the mainstream media is trying to posit Alan Kelly as an alternative opposition leader, is speaking to that, in my opinion. She's apparently doing great work in her constituency too. A lot of the Sinn Féin candidates are in very high demand in terms of people contacting them, going into their offices, etc. It means less visibility in the media, maybe, but high visibility in communities, which is actually what matters in my opinion. That sounds like a Sinn Féin party political broadcast, but just what I've heard through the grapevine. So yeah, I guess I then kind of went into like how anytime I hear her being kind of more long form interviews, then I find her a lot more interesting, whereas kind of as a soundbitey person, it's like she doesn't really do much for me, and I find it weird the kind of, you know, passion that's hoisted upon her when she seems to really not really do that much. But I said I was, you know, am I gonna go? Sorry. Yeah, basically I was saying that the form of the current media now doesn't allow for her to kind of be interviewed and to talk in the way that would, you know, allow kind of substantial policy and things like this to be put across. But from this podcast I was listening to, you can tell that she thinks very deeply about this stuff, you know. And I also think that the thing that's overblown is like she's talking about we need a united Ireland, and that was the whole thing she was banging the drum about for COVID, and it makes it sound like rah-rah nationalism. But like like at the moment there's like a Sinn Féin senator who had to resign over the scandal, and they're thinking of putting forward like a DUP person or a unionist basically to take the place of this senator. And they're up north, their approach to COVID has kind of like so let's say here in the Republic there was a case of, why don't you have a unity government so that we sit down around a table, nobody gets credit for it, and we just focus on the problem at hand? And Leo is like, no, absolutely not. Mary Lou can contact me if she wants to know why I don't want to do that. And it was all, really petty and stupid, but the media just accepted that and moved on. Whereas up north, it's like they have a way more like difficult relationship. But the one thing that apparently they're getting right is their, like obviously their COVID response up to that point had been fucking shit. But when the shit hit the fan, it was kind of like, okay, let's just put aside the bullshit for a bit and sit down and try to figure this out. And it seems to be working. What?
That's not the response at all. It's completely politicized.
I think it previously was, but now it's kind of different.
You think it's changed, has it?
Well, I mean, like from the little bits that I'm hearing, I'm not an expert and I'm not pretending to be, but it's just like, I just expected it to be just like fucking chunks to be ripped out of people. Like, how could you get these two people who are just so hostile to each other in a room to agree on anything to do with the COVID response? And there has been that,
I like, from what I've understood is that the DUP are refusing to do lockdowns. They really don't want them. Like, even after the current lockdown, they're just like, everything's back to normal, Once we stop getting funding, it's back to normal. And then Sinn Féin are, pro-lockdown. Basically, Sinn Féin want to do the Irish model, the UK want to do the English, and or the DUP want to do the English, and like they're completely at loggerheads, and that's why they have such huge COVID rates.
Yeah, but I guess I just think that Sinn Féin seem to be, you just basically don't see as much about them just like really at each other. That's my interpretation. I could be entirely wrong about it. But I don't know. I guess I just see more efforts being made to try and bridge, efforts being made by Sinn Féin to at least look like they're appealing to the other side and to try and like be reasonable about stuff. Not that I don't necessarily think that they weren't before.
I don't know. Like they also took that money. The 10,000.
Yeah, they also gave it back, and they fired. And there was a bunch of resignations as a result of it.
I thought the point was that they didn't give it back.
No, but they didn't give it back. But once it was discovered, they gave it back.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So let me see.
So that happened.
Basically, the rest of it was a back and forth. So I was kind of saying the media isn't equipped to have more long form discussions, and then she was like, "There's also, it's not equipped for nuanced or detailed discussion on any of these matters, and anything vaguely left of centre tends to be shot down. The ideas of the left are also too big and detailed to be condensed into a soundbite. None of the radio shows or television shows we have are the right format for showcasing and discussing anything beyond empty statements, and they are deaf hostile to anything coming from Sinn Féin. The fact that time and again they're turning again to Alan Kelly for comment just speaks to the fact that Labour 100% are viewed by the establishment media as a centrist party. To be honest, Sinn Féin did well in the last election despite a lack of mainstream media support and even outright hostility from the likes of RTE. I think RTE, News Talk, etc. overestimate their own influence. Actions within community is what really matters, and to a lesser extent an online presence. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are abysmal at social media, and they have completely lost the young vote partially because of that, in my opinion. Also, the hostility from Fianna Fáil is hugely personal. Mary Lou's family are historically Fianna Fáil, and she departed from that when she joined Sinn Féin. They view her as a party traitor, and Fine Gael view her as a class traitor. She is posh, and they don't get why she would be looking to align herself with the working class people. Same view with Owen O'Brien. I'm sure there are a few in the mainstream media who think the same. Pat Kenny has had some absolutely cringeworthy interviews with Owen O'Brien over the years, where he can't even hide how unbelievable he finds it that someone from his background could have a socialist outlook. So anyway, and then we started talking about Aaron Sorkin, Chicago, whatever, 7. Well worth bringing up, because yeah, it was something that we were like, you know, where the fuck are they? They haven't been around. I do think that they could have taken more advantage of the situation, and they were prepared for a different type of battle which they didn't adjust for. Like, there were like massive town hall meetings being done after the election. There was cause to be like, we need to get back to another general straight away. And then once that was no longer an option, it was kind of like, well, what the fuck do we do? You know? So COVID kind of put the kibosh on a lot of their plans, but I do find fault in the fact that they didn't regroup, you know?
I suppose, so I was reading Shane Ross's book, and, you know, I read a few reviews of it, and it seems to be quite, you know, sound.
Yeah.
And he describes that once COVID hit, that there was this bizarre situation going on where essentially 3 people, you know, Radker, Harris, someone else, were basically rushing through all legislation. Like, they had such huge control over what was going on, and kept such a tight secrecy over what was going on, that they sort of, like, through taking ownership of the pandemic response, they basically managed to ice out everybody that wasn't in that tightly knit group part of the cabinet. So, like, even other members of Fianna Fáil didn't know what was going on, and didn't have a chance to debate these things in cabinet. So, like, I suppose as I found that out, it's easier to understand. Like, it seems like Fine Gael leadership were just running away with it completely. Again, and had such, like, big money on marketing. Like, you always said they had that guy, what's his name? You know, the guy who was head of Leo's spin division came back during the pandemic.
Tony Hoolan?
No, he's
Ronan Glynn?
No, the guy with the spin division.
Oh, the spin division. Sorry, Concannon. Sorry.
Yeah, he came back, and like the media were just so happy with him. So like, I guess it got bored, like, through the media, and also through like a pretty weird situation where 3 people were doing all the work.
Yeah.
Like, it is easy to ice out people. Like, it's not a particularly democratic process.
Yeah.
So, I think it's really
one of the more damning things, the Village, like, then they had their, like, oh, here's our evidence, and you're like, you know, you should have rearranged some of the things you released, because they found a text message where this guy approached Leo to get him to, like, intervene in this, in a way that would have, you know, that he intervened with Matthew O'Toole, similar, you know, and he said, no, I can't do that because of, and then listed off all these acts and the reason why he couldn't do it. This is when he was minister for something, but so it wasn't when he was Taoiseach, but having said that, like, you know, what's my whole point? I guess what I was getting at is that, like, he knew it was wrong, and wait, what was this in relation to? Sorry, I'm just like, again, we've been on for a while, so I'm just like losing my train of thought. I guess I was just brought up because of the kind of cavalier way that these people conduct business, and they deliberately kind of make it more difficult for people they don't like, and then easier for people they do like, you know? And it suddenly becomes this thing where, like, you know, they have the media in the palm of their hands as well, because the media love getting the sound bites and little kitschy bullshit, like of Leo putting on shoes. They'll follow him to do that. But, like, when it comes to, like, you know, the nuts and bolts of politics and things that affect people's lives, you don't really get the sense of the people who are doing that, you know? I guess to bring it up again, when Ruth Coppinger lost her seat, I think that was kind of a perfect example of that. Somebody who basically kept the referendum to repeal the 8th alive constantly, battling for it all the time, at every single march, always making speeches, always talking about it, and then Fine Gael get to put on their posters, well, we brought in the, you know, we repealed the 8th, so that was us. And it's just like, you know, these people who put in the work kind of, you know, even though they might be filmed on the picket lines or they might even be talked about in that way, but if the media doesn't treat them as the people who did it, then nobody believes that they did it, you know? So yeah, I guess that it's easy for them to treat Radker and Simon Harris and people like that like they're doing all this stuff because they like them. But then if, you know, what am I talking about? But like, you know, Mary Lou could be doing a similar thing, but without a sympathetic media, it wouldn't feel like she is doing the same thing, you know? Thank our patrons. Pull up those patrons. Get your patrons out for the boys.
I have it written down somewhere.
For the lads. Get your patrons out for the lads. Excuse me.
Do you know any patrons?
Oh God, let me just. Well,
no.
What's our theme, by the way?
Our theme is politics.
No, I mean like for our patrons,
yeah,
thanking them.
Politics.
Okay, fine, fucking hell. Go for it.
Bridget Purcell.
Bridget Purcell. More like
they're not more like, we're not making fun of them.
Sorry. Okay. Bridget Purcell. The most important part of our democracy. The polls, of course.
What about Bridget Percent of the polls?
Percent
of the polls.
Yeah, okay. Bridget Percent of the polls. Okay, next one.
Someone called Milky Fox. They still haven't told me how they want to be referred to.
Okay, so Milky Fox. What about Milky Ballot Box?
What about Silver Fox? And of course I'm talking about Richard Bruton.
I fucking hate that guy so much. Him making the fucking banana bread. I would love to fucking just fucking put thumbtacks in his knees or something.
He's in,
you know what I mean?
Like
it's really hurt that man.
He is in incredible shape though. Yeah, I gotta give him that.
I hate that. No, I'm not gonna give him that. Fuck that. He looks like he's a leathery piece of shit. He looks like crap.
He looks incredible.
Like, I hate that he's fit because he feels the need to like take off his top then, you know? Because I was like, if you weren't fit, you wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't have to see your disgusting body. So actually, that's why you're shit. Okay, next one.
Kyle O'Neill.
Kyle O'Neill, like the way I kneel in front of the ballot box. I can't use his name Neil again. So.
Yeah, like the way we kneel in front of the ballot box and say our prayers.
Yeah. No. So no. Oh yeah, go on.
Conor Barry.
No, god damn it. I keep doing the same one again
no,
of like Neils
good.
and con artists. Oh wait, Conservative Barry. Thank you.
What about Conservative Barrister?
Okay. Whatever. Next one.
No, whatever. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
On the left, we're supposed to support each other. Liam McCartan.
Liam
What
McCanvason.
Liam
Canvassing.
Yeah, okay. Claire O'Neill. Claire News on. Turn the news on.
Yeah, turn the news on. Get that. Turn Claire O'Neill.
Claire.
Huh?
Oh, Claire.
Oh, Claire. Turn on O'News on. Yeah. Okay, so Niall McGillick. Oh, sorry, you're reading them out. I shall take down the list. I'll stop this.
Niall McGillick Killer.
Niall McGillick Killer, just like those killers in Washington, D.C. Those child killers.
You're right. Niall McGillick Killer, like Sinn Féin.
Yeah, like Sinn Féin kill innocent children.
Yes, which they did. Ronan Carey. Ronan Scary.
Yeah.
Of course. I'm scared of the rise of the right in Europe.
Yeah. I'm scared of the loony left. I'm scared of Antifa.
Niamh Kelly.
Votes up her sleeve, Kelly. Oh, what the fuck?
Yes, she's got something up her sleeve, Callum.
Because she's putting some votes up her sleeve. She says she's voting twice. She voted twice for Mary Robinson.
Paulie Doyle.
Paulie spoiled ballot.
What about police spoiled? Because the police are spoiled brats, you know?
Yeah, and they're involved in politics somehow, you know? They're the arm of the state.
And like that one guy was like, don't vote for Sinn Féin.
Yeah, Drew Harris. Yeah. I love that there's a sitting, and he was voted in again, Brendan Boyle, the congressman, who says that Drew Harris should resign. There is a US congressman who has been re-elected who is basically saying Drew Harris should fucking resign. I was like, that's very cool.
Is that the guy on the Two Johnnies?
The Two Johnnies to America, yeah.
David Buckhout.
Yeah. I wonder if I wrote that.
Joe Joyce?
You didn't do Richard Zimmerman.
I'm getting to him.
Yeah, but Joe Joyce should be the last because he's our top tier operative.
Fine. Richard Zimmerman.
Richard Zimmerman, more like Richard Zimmer frame. No, Richard. God damn it.
Bitter. What about Richard Bitter man? And of course, we're talking about the electric scooter guy from earlier.
Yeah, perfect. Joe Joyce. Okay, so rejoice because the votes are in and Biden won.
Yes, back to civility.
Yes, normality. Let's go back to normal brunch.
As opposed to emergency brunch.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a brunch and figure out how do we get the fucking tangerine Idi Amin out of office. That is one.
What other?
That last one
what
was.
What other names?
Yeah.
There's that from Turtle Shell.
What about Tortoise Shell?
Is that from Tortoise Shell?
Yeah, no, that was actually from the Tortoise Shack. They do like a weekly podcast, and I gotta say, I was very disappointed. They weren't like singing Biden's praises. They were like, you know, he was like, it fucking sucks, but like whatever. But they did say, all of them were like, it's just great to have some empathy back in the Oval Office, and basically they were kind of painting him out to be like a nice old man, you know. But he's.
And you don't think he's old?
And I think he's as young as the day he was born.
I'm as young as the day I was born.
All right, bye.